So let's get to, okay, we can also open. Yeah, we open the program. Yeah, Nilab Jadas is saying he would like to write using pen and paper. That's also fine. Yeah, I'm not insisting on a text file. You can write and scan and send a PDF. It is just that it is easier for me to correct if it's text file. But yeah, it is okay if you find it more convenient to do pen and paper. Sure. So
Okay, thank you, sir.
okay, so we shall begin. Yeah? Okay, so in the last class we looked at binary trees, and the binary tree structure is defined as follows. It's either the empty tree or a node containing an element and a left and right subtrees. Okay, in Haskell you write it as this data declaration. So it's either the empty tree, which let's call the constructor that corresponds to that nil. Okay, capital N nil. That is the empty tree. You can call it anything you want. Nil is not a keyword or anything. You can call it empty if you want. Okay, or you can call it leaf. Okay, whatever. It's up to you. Though it's better not to call it leaf, because in this representation, a leaf is something which has data in it. Okay, so we could call it empty if you want. Okay, and then there is node, and a node has three elements: a left subtree, a right subtree, and a value. Okay, at the node. Yeah, this we saw in the last class. And there are two value constructors, and B tree itself is a type constructor, whereas nil and node are value constructors. Nil is of type B3A. It's like your empty list. Okay, your empty list is a, what is the type of this? What do you think will be the type of? What do you think will be the type of the empty list? Can someone tell?
A list E.
Yes, it's list A. Similarly, your nil is of type B3A for any A. Okay, it's polymorphic. Node is of type B3A, arrow B3A. There are three arguments. You list them in order, and then the result is a B tree. Okay, so you put together one value and two subtrees, and that forms a larger tree. Okay, and we saw how you can draw these trees, etc. Okay, this tree has 6 as the root. Left subtree has the node 4. Its left children have there are no left children. It has no children. There are no subtrees there. Okay, and then the right subtree has 3 as the root. Its children are 2 and 5, and 2 and 5 are no children. Okay, great. Here is another binary tree. So you have 3 at the root. On the left is 1. To its right is 2. Then to the right of 3 is 5. To the left of 5 is 4. Okay, so that is this tree. So you write it this way, and yeah, you can write recursive programs on binary trees very simply. Okay, just like you can write recursion on lists, you do pattern matching and do recursion on trees as well. Okay, size is a function from B3A to int. Size of nil is 0. Size of node TL x tr is 1 plus size of TL plus size of TR. Okay, This is simple enough. Size just counts the number of nodes in the tree. Height is the number of nodes on the longest path from root to anywhere. So height of nil is 0 because there is no root even here. And the height of node TL XTR is, you take the maximum of the height of TL and the maximum of the height of, sorry, you take height of TL, height of TR, compute their maximum, add 1 to them. Okay. This is also simple enough. And then we had a levels, etc., etc. You can write in the code, you see that we have this levels function that we wrote, which actually prints out the elements of the tree level by level, etc. Okay, fine. So yes. So importantly, so if you want to write some functions on trees, etc., it's a little hard to input the trees in the laborious manner. Okay, because you have to input the tree. Like here, I have tree 1. Okay, this is a simple tree with just three nodes. But look at how long an expression I have to write, and it's very difficult to write this expression. So it would be better if you provided a way to convert a list to a tree. Okay, and we'll maintain that. Okay, so when you convert a list to a tree, you can convert it in any which manner, right? There are lots of ways in which you can convert a list to a tree. Okay, not just the shape of the tree, but also the order of the elements in the tree. Okay, so here now recall. I suppose you recall these expression trees that we wrote, right, in the previous lecture. So if you want, I can bring it up. Yeah, we had oh no, not this lecture. 23. Yes, you had all these expressions, and I would like you to yes, one of the things we did was, yeah, you wanted to, if you want to show an expression, how did we show the expression? This is the important part. Forget the F applied to, etc., etc., but look at this part. So look at this part. Okay, so you do show of the left subtree, then you do show of the value at the root, and then you do show of the value at the right subtree. Okay, this form of showing, first do everything in the left subtree, then do the root, then do the thing in the right subtree, is called in order. It is useful to know. Okay, so given a tree, there are lots of, these are called traversals. Okay, let me write it that way. Traversal is of a tree is a, let us say, a walk through the tree, hitting each element exactly once. Okay, so three standard traversals. You can read the thing, right, that I have written. Can someone please confirm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so one is called in order. Here, visit the left subtree first. Then root, then right subtree. How do you visit the left subtree? That's a tree, so do it recursive. Yeah. You can guess the other two, right? Can somebody tell? I'm calling this in order. Recall that for expressions we did infix, postfix, and so on. So what will be the names of the two other orders?
Post order.
Yeah. Post order is one. Before that, pre-order.
Pre-order.
Okay. So your and what do you guess this will be? Visit root first, then left subtree, then right subtree. Of course, you can also do this thing of visiting right subtree and then the left subtree, but nobody does that. Okay, so typically you always do the left thing first and then the right thing. So post order. Is, as you can guess, visit left subtree first, then right subtree, then root. So shall we write the programs corresponding to that? In order, pre-order, post-order, all three. What are the types of this? What are the types of these functions? Srimati, can you tell?
Yeah, so 1 second.
You visit, and as you visit, you list the things. And so we want to collect all the elements. Where will you collect it?
So what are we doing? We're going
you will just collect all the elements. The nodes alone you will collect. And what is the simplest and what is the most primary data structure you use to collect stuff?
List.
List. So
yeah.
So in order, let's write the program. In order, can you complete the definition? In order of nil is empty list. In order of node, left subtree is TL, root is R or value. What happened? Something happened. Sorry, 1 second. Oh. Value. TR is right subtree. What do you think this is?
So do you do all of them in concat? Do you just collect all of them in 3 different lists and concat?
Yes. But can you tell me how do you do that? Recursively, you have to do the left subtree. So you just do in order of the left subtree.
In order TL.
In order TL plus C val plus in order TR. Yes. Okay, great. That's it. So now pre-order and post-order as well.
So you just change the order.
Yes, I just need to change that. Yes. And this whole val plus will go to the very end. Okay. And now here is post order.
Sir, I didn't get the pre-order function. Can you explain?
1 second. Just let me finish writing this. You didn't get what function?
So the pre-order.
The pre-order is just listing out all the elements. It is putting the root first and then it is doing the left subtree, then the right subtree. It's exactly what I have written here.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, can you see that is reflected exactly here?
Yes, I get it now.
Yeah, that is it. And post order will visit the 2 subtrees first and then it will visit the root. Right? So now, why do I mention all this? These are important functions to know. And when you create tree, we want in order of create tree of a list x's to be equal to x's. Okay, this is what you want to maintain, and that is maintained in whatever we are doing here. Okay, you will take a list, you will split it somewhere. The middle element you will, so from where you split, look at this. Okay, so look at this. You have a list, you split the list into two parts, f and then x followed by b. X is made the root. Whatever lies to the left of x is made into a tree recursively. Whatever lies to the right of x is made into a tree recursively. So if you do in order of this tree, what will you do? You will first list all the elements in the tree f, then you will list x, and then you will list all the elements in the tree b. Okay, and if you maintain this property inductively, you will always have not just we want, we also have it. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Does anybody have a question regarding this? It's a simple inductive proof you can give. Okay, induction on the structure of trees. For smaller trees, something holds. Therefore, for a bigger tree also, assuming that you can prove it for a bigger tree also. Yes. Okay. And of course, for nil, it is automatically true. Right? Create a tree from a nil, and then that is create a tree from an empty list. That is nil, and when you do the in order of nil, it is the empty list. Okay, great. So this is something that you want, and so let us see how you can create a tree such that this property holds. We have already seen the code, right? Right. So the strategy is, so as a bonus, you also have that the tree is as balanced as possible, meaning that at every stage, the left subtree is the same size, has the same number of nodes, or exactly one more than the right subtree. Okay, why do I say that? Because you are splitting the list at n by 2, right? So if n is even, then what can you say if n is even? If n is even, what can you say about the length of f and the length of b?
So length of f will be greater than length of b.
Greater by how much?
Oh, 1.
Exactly 1, right? If n is even, then length of f and length of x colon b are the same, which means that length of b is 1 less than length of f. If n is odd, then length of f is 1 more than length of if n is odd, then length of x colon b is 1 more than length of f, which means that length of f and length of b are the same. Okay, so you'll always have the case that if you create a tree, the number of nodes in the left subtree will be either the same or exactly 1 more than the number of nodes in the right subtree, and that will hold recursively. Okay, good. So this is the simplest strategy, right? It's a simple recursive program. Split the list into two halves, recursively create a binary tree from each half, and join them together. And this is the so instead of calling it in the code, I'm just calling it f and b. Okay, so it's exactly what I did there. Is this code clear? I'll just leave you to stare at it for a minute. If you have any questions, please ask me at this point. Okay. Can I move on? Okay, I'm moving on. Now, so this is how you create a tree. Okay. So the other issue is showing a tree. And right now, I can show you. If I do create tree of, let me go here and let me load. Okay, so okay, so you're able to read the things, right? Do I need to increase the font size or anything, or is this okay? Anyone?
So it's okay.
Okay, right, good. So if I say create tree of, so if you want a balanced tree, you will create a tree with exactly 2 to the n minus 1 nodes for some n. See, it's something horrible printed out like this. You can't make much sense of this. Okay, or you can say 0 to 30, which will have 31 elements, and that will be something even huger, and you can't make sense of it. Okay, so actually what you want to do is you want to have a custom show, right? So here, if you notice, I have just this B tree, I have just said deriving EQ show. Instead of saying deriving EQ show, I should make it instance show B tree A of blah 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 blah. Okay, so that is what I want to make. Okay, and here I am following a scheme. I am using some indentation. Root will be written here, and then if I want to print out its immediate subchildren, that will be indented some 2 spaces to the right. Okay, 2 and 6 are the immediate subchildren, and then immediately after printing out 2, I will print out its immediate subchildren, their immediate subchildren, etc. And if a node has, if 3 here has no children, so I won't print anything there, but 1 has only 1 child, so I will print one of the children and put a star for the other children. Is it clear what my scheme is? 6 has 2 children, 5 and 7, they don't have any child, so I'll write it like this. Is it clear?
Oh,
How
yes,
do you
sir.
think I can write a program for this? I mean, it's a nice thing, right? Again, just like we did with the levels, it would be good to be able to write. So first create these strings that corresponds to each, whatever I need to write on each line, and then somehow compose them together by doing some. You put all the strings together, but when you put the strings together, you put a new line. Okay, that is what you need to do. You can do that, and the way to do it is, yes, here is another example. So you have 4. Here its children are 2 and 6. Those are at this level. Yeah, at this level, and 2's children are 0 and 3. So 3 has no child. 0 has a child star, and then 1 here. No left child and 1 right child. 5 has no left child, so it will be a star here and a 7 there to its right. 6 has a left child, which is 5, but no right child, so it's a star. Yeah. Okay. And okay, so the way to do it is to first focus on right. Right. This is the important thing. Let me just go and write the code there. Okay. So sort of saying deriving EQ show. Okay. I can even go to the end, or here it's. I'll go to the end. Instance, if A is of type show, then I want. Do I need to say that at all? Showing a tree amounts to drawing a tree, but drawing a tree will create a list of strings. I want to put these strings together. So each string will be something that appears on each line. Okay. And I want to put these things together by inserting a new line between each of these things. Okay. So which means that I should import intercalate from data.list. Okay. So okay, done. Okay. So yeah, what is draw now? Draw is a function from I mean, if A is showable, then it's a function from B tree A to a list of strings. So draw, so it's a simple thing. What is draw of nil? I want to just print a star. What is draw of Okay, if a node has no children, then I just want to print the node. Yeah, I just want to print the node and nothing else. Okay, so I should just say within this thing, I should say show of X.
So just a doubt. Draw is giving you everything in one level, is it?
No, not everything in one level. Draw will not give you everything in one level. Draw will give you each line separately. See, each of these lines separately is what draw will give you. Yeah, so what is draw really? Draw is really telling you how much to indent. That's all. Draw will, for every node, okay, draw will write the value in that node with some indentation. We'll see how to figure out that indentation in a second. Okay. So the important thing is what is draw of node. Draw is not giving everything in each level because the way you are displaying it is this. You see, you are sort of displaying it because I mean we cannot draw lines, etc. I mean maybe you can if you know how to. In fact, I have a thing where you can display it like we draw pictures, but that's a much more complex program. For now, we shall just look at this. Draw will draw it at this based on indentation. Okay, so 2 is written here, but 6 is written somewhere down here. Okay, so draw does not follow levels. Draw will indicate levels if you look at it sideways. See, 4 is the topmost level, 2, 6 are the next levels, 0, 3, 5 are the next levels. Do you see the point? If you look at each column wise, it indicates levels. Yeah, is it clear, Srimati? But
Yeah.
it is indicating the levels by doing some indentation. Okay, if it is the topmost level, there is no indentation. If it is the next level, there is indentation of 2. This is really what we want to capture. Okay, so what will you do? Draw of TL X TR. So clearly, you have to draw of TL will produce a list of strings, right? Okay, plus you do X. Okay, which is no. You first draw the root. So you are doing X first. Show X first. You're showing X first, that is the topmost level. Okay, then you are drawing the left subtree, then you are drawing the right subtree, but you can't just draw it just like that. When you draw the left and right subtree, originally your draw of TL and draw of TR will give you a list of strings. Now you want all those strings to be indented. So what do you do? So let's say shift applied to draw of TL. Shift applied to draw of TL. Is it clear? And this shift is a function from list of strings to list of strings. What I'm going to do is that you originally have a list of strings. I want every string to include 2 spaces before it. Okay, so if I have the string 3, then I want space 3. So how do I do that? First, I have to do a map, or I'll let you think about it yourself. Every string should have 2 spaces attached before it. So I have to do this thing. This is the 2 spaces, right? Plus. So this is what I want. So shift of, let's call the strings S1, S2, S3. Sn should be S1 prime, S2 prime, Sn prime, where Si prime equals 2 spaces plus Si. Yeah, you know enough Haskell to do this thing. Can somebody tell me how to do this?
Sir, we can use an anonymous function.
We can use an
anonymous function together with map.
Right. So you can do that, but there is something else that you have learned.
A list complaint.
With you have learned, no? Yes, you can do that. You can do map of string goes to on the, that's it. Shift is just this. Okay, you don't need anything else, right? You can do that. Yeah, you can do this. You can use sectioning. That is what it's saying, right? So map space plus plus. Yeah, that's good. That's a good way to do it. Or as I have done in the slides, use zip width. Okay, but map space plus plus is better. So zip width plus plus of repeat space I'm saying you don't need to do this. Okay, so you just say map whatever this space plus plus. That's good. Is it clear? That's it. So now I have done. So yes, I am done. So does anybody have a question with this logic? So I don't see any of the faces because I need my real estate to view my slides. But please, if somebody has a question, please ask me right now.
So
Or
can
it's,
you,
it's clear.
so like, can you summarize like what like, you know, like I kind of like, you know the details, but like I can't see the big picture.
So the big picture regarding what? This show or something else?
Yes, sir. Regarding the show.
Yeah, all I am saying is that I want to show trees like this. I mean, I can't draw lines and circles and so on. It's difficult. So I want to display trees in this form rather than displaying trees in this form. You see, this is hard to read. So instead, I want to display it in a easier to read form. That is the aim. Are you fine with that? And the way
Yes,
I
sir.
want to do it is this: that if I have a root, I'll print the root on one line. Okay. Then the left child, each node I'll print on a separate line. Okay, but I'll indent it depending on what level it is at. Yeah, so this is level 0, let us say, the root. So there is no indentation. Level 1 is 2 and 6. So when I eventually write 2 and 6, there will be 2 is indented, 2 is one level indentation, 6 is also one level indentation. But 0 is level 2, so it is 2 levels indentation. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And then I am sort of printing it out in a pre-order fashion. So I am printing out the left subtree. So the root first, then the left subtree, then the right subtree. Okay. I can also print out the root in the middle. So if you want, I can. There is enough flexibility here. I can print out the left subtree, and then I can print out the root. Yeah. The other thing is, because I want to do this in a simple manner, I shall first use this draw function, which will create it as a list of strings, and then I'll put together the draw function. Ultimately I want one string, but instead of trying to build one string in one go, which is difficult, I am going to create a list of strings and then put them all together. When I put them all together, I insert a new line in between every this thing. Is it clear? So I can show you by showing draw separately and then this thing separately. So let me save this and then let me go here. Let me say draw of create tree 0.14. Yes, you see, I have gotten some bunch of stuff. So 0 and then 1. So you see that various things have various amounts of space added before them. Okay. 7 is the root. It has no space added before. Okay. If I actually say create tree of 0.14, let me clear the screen first and then say.
Sir, in the recollect, makes all the strings into a single string with n in between, right?
Yeah, with a backslash n in between. Backslash n is new line. Okay, so now you see here I have 7 in the middle. Its left children is okay. Left child is written up though. Okay, if you want, you can change that also. Its left child is 3, right child is 11. 11 has left child 9, right child 13. 13 has left child 12, right child 14. 9 has left child 8, right child 10. 5 has left child 4, right child 6. 3 has left child 1, 1 has left child 0. Yeah, and here this has the advantage that if you read this thing, it will read like your original list. So you can just read 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's the order in which your original list is. Is this clear? I can
Yes,
do
sir.
this, or if I want to do it as in the slides, then I will put the show X at front, then you will get the other form. You can do whichever you prefer. It's just some visual representation of the underlying data type. Yes. Yeah, this is doing it the way I have presented it in the slides. 7 is the root, its children are 3 and 11. 11's children are 9 and 13, etc., etc., etc. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
I can make it even a little more palatable by here. I am just putting space, etc. I can make it a little more fancy, you know, by doing something like this. So 0, I'm putting some lines to connect the things. I'm saying 0 has this plus, its right child is 1, its left child is 1, its right child, if you want to know where it is. So because it's a little difficult here, you have to follow the spaces, etc. Instead, I'm displaying the connection using these arrows. Okay. And you can do this also. It's a similar kind of program, except now instead of just doing a simple shift, I'll do a shift left. There is one kind of shift for left subtrees. There is another kind of shift for right subtrees. And here, yes, I can do the same map, whatever. Yeah. No, it cannot be mapped because for the first element it is this, for the subsequent elements it is this. Okay, so note that if I here note that as long as your left, I mean there are these lines that you draw, the leftmost column, you draw these lines as long as the left subtree is in effect and you reach the root of the right subtree. After that, there won't be these lines. Okay, so clear. I hope it's a clear visual representation of what is happening. So let me just replace, draw that as, write that as code. So let me first separately draw 2, which is the same thing. As long as A is showable, it will convert a B tree A to a list of strings. Okay, so draw 2 is nothing but draw 2 of nil is once again just the string list consisting of one string. Draw 2 of node nil x nil is again just show x. Singleton list consisting of the show of x. So draw of node TLXTR is, so I'm saying show x plus plus shift left, shift for the left subtree, shift L, draw, shift left of draw TL plus shift R of TR. Now shift L and shift R are like earlier string of from a list of strings to string. Okay, for shift L, what I'll do is shift L of L equals zip width of. So for the initial thing, I'll do a plus hyphen followed by repeat of, okay, this vertical line and space. That's it. Okay. Sorry. And for shift L, for shift R, it will be, I want to plus plus I have to write. So I'm using some backtick hyphen followed by 2 spaces. That's it. So now I can go and here, instead of saying draw, I can say draw 2. Okay, so automatically when I come here and if I reload, whatever. Oh, okay. Oh, it's not map, right? It's zip with. So I have to put the operator at first. Okay, that's it. So go here and reload, compile and work correctly. So now if I do create tree of, yeah, do you see the thing? No, there's something wrong. What is wrong?
So for the second base case, you put just show x.
For the second base case,
You just put show x. Shouldn't it be plus minus show x or something?
So
right.
so in the third case, not
No,
the second.
no,
you put draw instead of draw.
I used draw instead of draw 2 here. That's all. See? Sorry, my mistake. Yeah, is it clear? So if you want, I can add more. If you want, I can add more lines also into it. So I could, for instance, say. Yeah, if you want, I can stretch this out. I can say draw 2 will give me this thing, right? And I can actually do plus plus. I'll add one line after that. No, I should add the line before. One second. Yeah, it's a little messy, but I suppose, I hope, I mean, if I hope this is still, this still makes the point. I hope. Yeah, it's a little cramped, etc. But if I write it on a larger screen, then you might. If I have a, I'll see if my terminal has larger thing. Yeah, it has. So I'll do GHCI here. I don't know what difference it will make, but let's see.
So it didn't load the Haskell.
I loaded it when I invoked itself. I loaded it. Can't find file. Right? Where am I? Oh yeah, I know. Load. I'm in a different directory. You can always load things by specifying directory. Right now it's fine. Now if I say create tree, yeah, I mean, it's still not great, but at least whatever, some visual representation. Okay, so if you want, I have a much more complicated thing, but let's not waste time on this. I have a much more complicated routine whereby you can actually print it out horizontally, all this thing, but I'll just post it for you to figure out what it means. Okay, maybe at the end I can show you how it I have to copy it from somewhere else and then try to show you how it works. Okay, I'll not try to explain it, you can figure out yourself, but I shall at least just post the code in this so you can read it and understand it. Okay, so uh, just a minute. Okay, I'll just, if it is there, I'll show you, otherwise I'm sorry. Maybe you should just move on rather than waste more time. If it's here, I'll show it. Otherwise, we will just. I have these draws. No, oh, I'm calling it draw two. Okay. Okay, good. So let me try to copy this. Oh, and notice how I've also made this into a module. You can do it just like you did stack, etc., etc. as a module. You can do this also as a module. Okay. We'll look at the search tree part of it. Why I'm calling it search tree, etc. in a bit. But let's copy this. Call it draw three. Give me so many warnings. Oh, okay, because this is the tabs. Okay. I don't know what is the problem. So it is saying tabs. Just a second, okay. So if it again complains of tabs, I'm going to ignore it. So it's just tabs, ignore it. But the point is that if I do it this way, so I'll let you figure out what is happening. Okay, I mean it is not very urgent that you figure out for your exam or anything, but it's good to know how to do such things in Haskell. Okay? Oh, oh, okay. This is slightly better, right? You are doing the same thing with 7 here, and then upwards you write this tree, and downwards you write the right subtree. Upwards you write the left subtree, downwards. Yeah, this is much better. Yes. Do you see this scheme? You can write much larger trees as well. So create tree 0 to 30. Let me write. You will see that. Yes, it's much better to understand this kind of a picture than the previous picture. I can also do this horizontally, which I'm not going to do now. I'll maybe find the code and post it later for you to look at. But something is happening here. I'll let you read the code and understand. At least you can do some recursive functions to show these things pretty. Okay, fine. After wasting my time on all this show for the last half an hour, let me actually go to okay, so the next thing is to create a balanced tree from a list. Okay, so this is the code that we showed earlier. And how much time do you think this code takes? Can somebody tell? If I have a list of length n, and if I say T of n is the time taken to build a tree from a list of length n, then what is the recurrence relation for T of n?
T of n equal to 2 T n by 2.
Yeah, and if you expand that, it will become order n log n. Okay, so T of n equals 2 T n by 2 plus n
1.
Why? Because I have to first figure out the length. Okay, and then I have to do split it. Okay, so not plus 1. T of n equals 2 T n by 2 plus n. Okay, and that is what makes it order n log n. Okay, so you want to do better, and you want to do better by avoiding the computation of length at every turn at all the recursive things. So what you want to do is, you want to avoid the repeated use of length and split it. And the way to do it is to say that I will give you an integer, and basically if I give you an integer and a list, and I want you to make a tree out of the first n elements of the list, or that integer represents the first n elements, and then give me the rest of the list. Okay, so this way I am avoiding splitted. I am asking the call to, basically I am computing length of the list at the beginning once, then I will say build a tree using this many elements of the list, and give me the tree as well as the rest of the list. Is it clear? So really what I'm asking is go NL is create tree of take NL, comma drop NL. Okay, this is what I want to define. I want to define this without invoking create tree. If I have go, then how do you recover create tree NL from that? Create tree L from that? First of go of length L. Okay. Yes. So, and now we want to give a direct definition of go without using create tree. Okay. And that's not difficult, because so create tree itself is first of go of length L and L. And here, if I want to create a tree out of the first 0 elements, it's just nil. And what is the drop 0 x's? It is just x's. So this line should be very clear. Go n x's. If I want to create a tree with out of the first n elements of the list, then what I will do is I will now I have to do the recursion, but there is something nice that I can do. N is already given, so I don't need to again compute length or anything. I'll just say M is N div 2, okay, and I shall create a tree using the first M elements, and then there is the remaining M minus N minus M elements, right? Originally, this yeah, excess is here. So I will the length of excess is something, let us say. And now I have what will be the length of y colon y's? Can somebody tell me? TL is constructed using let us say the length of excess is L. Okay, I want to construct here I have constructed a tree using M elements, and I have my y colon y's is here. What is the length of y colon y's? Can somebody tell me? Y colon y's is got after dropping M elements from the list excess. Okay, because I am doing go M excess. So whenever I do it, what will be the length of this leftover part? Assuming length of excess is L.
Sir, L minus M.
L minus M, exactly. Okay, and now y I am designating to be something as the root. Y will be the root. TL will be the left subtree. For the right subtree, what will I do? This is the real nice thing. For the right subtree, I go here and do I do the same recursive call on y's. Okay, y's is the now how many elements will y have? Y will have y's have y. So y colon y's is L minus M. So y's alone will be L minus M minus 1. Okay, and out of that, I want to yes, the first n elements is what I want to create with. I want to create a tree out of the first n elements. Now M elements I have taken care of. I have already created a tree, and then one element is at the root. So out of n, I have taken care of M elements and then one more element. So how many more elements should I consume? N minus M minus 1. Okay, so that is what. So now here, if you see this recursion, I have two recursive calls. Okay, on lists of length. On the first parameter being M. So T of n is 2 times T of n by 2 plus, that is the important thing, plus what? What is the other extra operation that I'm doing? I'm doing a div. I am putting together some trees using some node gear, etc. But all are constant time operations. So I'll have a recurrence of the form Tn equals 2 of Tn by 2 plus C. And if you expand this, you will get 2n minus 1 into C. Okay?
Sir,
Sir, could you explain the last part once again?
So who's asking this?
Sir, I'm Nilabjo.
Which part do you want me to go once again? The whole algorithm?
Sir, I mean the definition of TL and y colon ys, that portion.
Yeah, no. Okay, so forget everything else. Forget whatever I told you. Okay, let's redo it again. I have excess, right? And then you want to build a tree using the first n elements of excess. Okay?
Okay, sir.
The way I'm doing it, I'm first building a tree using the first n by 2 elements. Okay? The one element that comes after that, I'll make it the root. And then I'll make a tree using how many elements now? N minus M minus 1 I have to do, because n div 2 is M. Okay, and one element is the root. So M plus 1 elements I have consumed. M plus 1 I have consumed. I want to consume n elements. So what is the remaining number of elements? N minus M plus 1, which is the same as saying n minus M minus 1.
Yes, sir.
Is this part clear? So, and to
Yes,
create
sir.
a tree using so many elements in a list, I have to just say go and give that number. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm saying go give that number M on excess. I'll get a tree. I'll call it the left sub tree, and then y colon y is the remainder of the list. On that list, I now designate y as the root. Okay, and then I go and do go of n minus M minus n, n minus M minus 1 on y's on this list. Okay, I'll get a tree and another list, the leftover portion. The leftover portion is what I will finally give ultimately. After consuming n elements, that is the leftover portion. Okay, but with the n elements, I have created the tree node TLYTL. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all. Okay, and the recurrence is that I'm making two recursive calls to go, and each time the argument m, you ignore the argument x's. Okay, the argument m is of the form n by 2. So 2 into t n by 2 plus you do a constant amount of work because you have to do div, you have to put together the various trees into one node, etc., etc. That's all. Okay, so the time taken is order n. Okay, so this is basically this. So the binary search tree part, I'll do it in the next class and we'll finish the course with that. Okay. Unfortunately, I cannot do anything more advanced than this, but I suppose this is okay. You will anyway learn all this in your algorithms course. So best not to poach too much into the algorithms territory. At least binary search tree you need to know, which we'll do in the next class. But meanwhile, let me just finish this thing by writing that code for here. Let's go here and let me go here and create tree 2, let me call it. Okay. Or instead of calling it create tree 2, I'll call it from list. From list away, you want to give a B tree. From list of empty list equals nil. No, what I want to do is this, right? Yes, from list of NEL, first of go of length x's on axis, okay, where go is of type int arrow, display arrow, B tree a comma listed. Go 0 anything equals access equals nil comma go of n access equals node tl y tr comma z's, m equals endiv 2 go no, sorry, tl y colon y is go of m of x's tr z's equals go of n minus n minus 1 of. Again, this will produce the same kind of thing as earlier, but much more efficient. Okay, so instead of saying that, I can say from list of okay, great. Okay, are there any questions?
Sir,
Yes, yes, please.
I have a general question. I didn't understand amortization.
Amortization. Okay, so amortization. Yeah, I mean, amortization basically means that you want to see. So how do I say this? So I mean, so I have to cook every day to eat. So and cooking takes an hour, let us say. So I always cry about having to cook. Okay, true story. But but I mean, one way I console myself is to say, okay, I cook once, but I eat twice, okay, or thrice. Okay, so what am I doing here? I am distributing the cost, okay, of cooking. If I view it as, so if somebody asks, I shouldn't say that. Okay, so so let's say I take 1 hour to cook. Okay, so so if somebody asks me how much time I take to cook, I'll say 1 hour. But if somebody asks how much time I take for a meal, okay, okay, then what would be your answer? I mean, what would be my answer? I'll say, I mean, till now, if you are to talk about complexities, there are some meals which I eat without ever having to cook. So I'll say how many time I have to cook per meal. I'll say sometimes it is 0, sometimes it is 1 hour. Okay, so worst case 1 hour, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If I say that, but is that accurate? Worst case 1 is fine. Worst case 1 hour is fine. But I cannot, take such a pessimistic view, right? So if I want to take a slightly better view about my own life, what will I say? I'll say, oh, I have to. It is true that in the worst case, I will take 1 hour to cook, but on many days I cook once and eat twice. So, so here is another way of looking at it. Okay, for 30 meals I take 15 hours. For 30 meals I take 15 hours to cook. Okay, this is the kind of, so it is some kind of average complexity. Okay, but actually averaging it over. So because I mean it is not a one-time thing, right? So let us say that there is only let us say that I'm only ever going to have 1 meal in my life. Okay, then I'll say, oh, how much time does it take for you to get this meal ready? I mean, it ranges from anything. How much time do I have to spend on this meal? It ranges anywhere from 0 hours to 1 hour, right? Because somebody could give it to me for free, or I have to cook it myself. Okay, so but that is only when you. So I will have to take a view that okay, it takes 1 hour for me to cook in the worst case. Okay, but that is not what happens, right? I keep doing it repeatedly, right? I'm eating every day. So therefore, the better way to look at it is to average the time over all the different instances that I have to eat. Is that clear? So if you go to the Q example, okay, it is not like I'm going to do one DQ and that is it, life is done, right? This DQ is not an isolated operation. It is part of a bunch of operations that I'm doing, right? It is true that sometimes DQ takes order n time, but why did the DQ take order n time? Recall that DQ takes order n time if your original list is, if the front part of your list is empty and the back part of your list has n elements. But why did the back part of your list have n elements in the first place? Because I inserted, because I did a NQ n times. Okay, so DQ will take n times only if there has been some n NQs that happened earlier. Yeah. So I want to distribute the cost of this one DQ over all the operations, and I want to do an average. Basically, this is one way of averaging.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear? So whenever you do a collection of operations, a better way to look at things is to average over the time, because I mean each of those things happened very, very quickly, right? All those NQs happened very quickly. Okay, and then one DQ is taking a long time, but that's okay because I'm anyway going to do all these bunch of operations in one go.
Yes, sir.
Right? And I mean, again, sometimes this amortized analysis makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense. Okay, so for instance, let us say that let us say that you are some teller at a bank or whatever, and let us say you do lots of operations very quickly. Okay, you take money or whatever you do, and then you just put it on your side. But once every 20 transactions, you will go and sort out whatever money or bills or whatever you have. Okay, which will take 15 minutes, let us say. Is it clear?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what will happen? Every 20 transactions, you will spend 15 extra minutes. Okay, so So what happens for the first 15 people, things happen very quickly. There is no wait time at all, literally. Okay. But for the 16th person, it takes a long time. Is it clear?
Yes. Yeah.
So from the perspective of the customer, the long wait time is bad. Okay. But from the perspective of the teller, okay, he is only taking average time, instead of 1 time units, it's 2 time units or whatever. Because I mean, you do lots of operations quickly, then you take some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So if instead of being, so if you are a loan customer, then this is a problem. But let us say the same customer goes again and again and does the transaction. Okay. Let us say all these people are, or think of it as some ticket booking or whatever, and everybody who is going to the ticket agent is a travel agent, let us say, is some employee of the same travel agent.
Okay. Yeah.
Right? Then as far as each person who stands in the queue is concerned, the 16th person who stands in the queue gets a raw deal, right? Because it takes a lot of time. But all the customers who go to the teller are agents of the same company. So as far as the company is concerned, there is no delay at all.
Yeah. Yeah. Obviously.
Right? So this is the common sense logic behind amortization. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So yeah, so I hope I made things clear rather than confused. But yeah.
How is amortized time complexity different from average case complexity?
Right. So average case complexity, like I told you, is, yeah, it is the same thing. Okay, except average complexity, you want to look at it from the perspective of the individual customer.
In amortization, at least, should
In
we be
amortization,
sure?
you have a bunch. So average time complexity is usually you want to modify it. That is still a sort of a, each. So you don't have a collection of operations happen in average time complexity. I mean, you are saying that on average, what is the time it will take? Sometimes it will take low, sometimes it will take high time. So this is like average processing time. Okay, what do you mean by average processing time for a particular transaction? Let us say it means that some operations can go much quicker, some operations can go much later, but on average, this is the time taken. So that is the expected time. So if you want to go enter a teller's booth or whatever, then this is the expected time by which you can hope to return. Okay, that is still pertaining to an individual transaction. Whereas amortized complexity happens when you have a bunch of transactions together. So you're saying that, okay, instead of focusing on each individual transaction, if I focus on this whole bunch of transactions, okay, then the total time taken is this much divided by number of transactions. So it is that kind of average, you see. So amortized time complexity you apply when you want to not look at one transaction at a time, but a collection of transactions and the time complexity that of the whole thing. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is almost the same. It is really the same because you are just adding it up and averaging. But in the first case, for average case complexity, you do not have, you still don't say that, okay, there are totally so many operations that have happened. Okay. And so for instance, you might want to say, what is the average time that it takes to sort, let us say, an n-length list. Okay. The only thing you can do is to say that, okay, using this method, if the input list is this, then it is sorted. So it is sorted in so many steps. If the input list is this, then it is sorted over so many steps. So you count the number of steps that is taken, and then you average it over the number of length n lists. Okay, that is your average time complexity to sort using a particular method for lists of length 100. Let us say. Is this clear? What I mean by average time complexity? Yes, but here there is no notion of amortization because what I have done is I have looked at all possible lists. I have looked at all the number of steps taken for each list, and then I'm saying for a random list, okay, if you assume, I mean, for an arbitrary list of this length, the expected time okay, is this much. Okay, you're still talking about an individual sorting operation. There is no notion of amortization here. But typically, when you talk of amortization, you are having one data structure and you have different kinds of operations on it. Okay, and certain operations of certain kinds can take a long time, but that is only because certain operations of another kind or the same kind, many such operations have happened before in this set of transactions that has happened very quickly. Like that NQ DQ example, you have to view this whole set of operations as a collection. I have so many NQs followed by so many DQs followed by so many NQ DQ. Okay, you look at a whole list of queries you make on your queries or whatever operations that you perform on your data structure, and then you talk about for this whole list what is the time that happens. Is it clear? Whereas when you think about average time complexity, that is not your aim. Your aim is not to keep sorting the same list again and again and again. Okay, your aim is to say that, okay, I do not know what the list is. I only know that the list is of length 100, let us say. So now, what is my expected time by expected number of steps that it will take? That you can express as an average. Okay, by basic, yeah. So that is the average number of steps that is taken to sort a list of length 100. That is not what we are doing in amortized complexity. Okay, we are considering a list perhaps or some other data structure, and not just one kind of operation like sorting and then you are done. You will do lots of things on that list, and you want to say that overall all these actions taken together, what is the total time taken? Is it clear? Who asked this question about amortized versus average? Very good question. Who asked it? Hello?
Bijan.
Bijan. So is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me, because otherwise I'll keep on stating the same thing in different words and boring you to death. Okay, good. Okay, so are there any other questions? If there are no more questions, I would like to stop. Okay, great. Thank you. So have a nice evening. See you on Thursday. Yeah. Okay. So I'll clean up all these programs and slides, etc., and upload it on. Yeah. Bye then. Yeah. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.